Hey everybody! Happy Friday. I hope you all are having an amazing day. What is it time for now? It's time for story time. Yes, just a little bit of story time. I wanted to share this with you all. Our church is going through a 30-week Bible study, and it's called, I'm going to put the book up here so that you can see it. It's called Believe. I recommend this Bible study to any church. They have church-wide campaigns where the entire church goes through the same campaign at the same time, whether it's your youth ministry, your cell groups, home groups. It's powerful. It's powerful. And so we are in week 11 of this particular story. And this particular week, we were studying on worship, what it means to worship, how you worship. And so I wanted to talk today briefly on the power of worship, the power of worship. And the reason I wanted to do that, I'm going to pull something up real quick because I want to get the scripture from that, because I want you all to hear this particular scripture because, and let me ask you this. Have you all ever heard a scripture? You've heard it your whole life and it didn't resonate with you. I don't know, this particular scripture resonated with me like it hadn't done before. And so I wanted to just go ahead and make sure that I read this scripture, and I'm going to pull it up. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. And we are in Acts chapter 16. And I'm going to start reading at verse 25. And this is when Paul and Silas are in jail. They have been put in jail because if you remember, they were in this city and there was this woman that was dealing in divination, which means she was telling fortunes and whatever. And she kept coming after them, proclaiming the truth that these are men of God. And it got on Paul's nerve that she was following them day after day, and he cast the spirit out of her. And her owners got mad because now they couldn't make money, from her anymore because she couldn't do her fortune telling. And so they beat Paul and Silas and threw them in jail. And this is where they're in jail. And I want to read these couple of verses for you. Starting at Acts 16, verse 25, it says, "And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's bands were loosed." Now, I want to underscore this. Like I said, I have heard this scripture probably over half of my life, but it just stood out to me so much this week while we were studying this lesson. And that part was, at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed. That's the beginning of verse 25. And then it says, "And suddenly there was an earthquake, and the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all doors," y'all hear that? All doors, every single door in that prison was open, and everyone's bands were loosed. The power that comes when one or two people get together and out of a pure heart worship God opens all doors. I want y'all to hear that real good. Opens all doors. And everyone around you, their bands, their limitations, anything that's holding them back will be taken off. Everyone was loosed because Paul and Silas worshiped in that confinement, in that jail cell where they were erroneously locked up because they were doing the will of God. But when in the midst of trial, in the midst of their turmoil, in the midst of their persecution, they worshiped. So this is a word for us today. In the midst of your trial, in the midst of tribulation, in the midst of turmoil, when everything else is going wrong and you cannot find a way to make it go right, you cannot find a solution, I implore you to worship, to give God thanks, to give him honor, to give him glory, to esteem him as faithful. Because when you worship, the scripture says that all the doors, every single doors that confined them immediately became open and everyone around them was loosed. If you need something loosed in your life today, worship. Do not worry. Do not fret. Do not pull your hair out. Do not ask everybody else for the solution. Just worship God. And I promise you, doors will start popping open and people around you, it's not even just going to be just for you, but people around you are going to be blessed. They're going to be healed and they're going to be loosed because of your worship. Your worship is going to loose your family. Your worship is going to loose your community. Your worship is going to loose your friends, loose your business, because you chose to worship God even in a difficult situation. I pray that that has blessed you all like it blessed me on this week and gives you an answer for the things that you are facing. When you worship, God goes to work. I pray you all have been blessed. And if you have, hey Sherry, if you have, be sure to share this with somebody else that you know is going through a difficult season. Worship will lift every worry. God bless you all. Have a great weekend.